Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
Birds keep flying high, fast cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Meaty boys brawling, no holds barred loud. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker, in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe. Not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman?
Tune in the vibe. Marty West, good centers. Got me on the mic now, let's spill the tea. Talking courtside dreams from history. Legends on the blacktop now and then. From Will to Steph, we hit it again. All better chimes in, let's go deep. Young bloods rising, can't skip a beat. Puppy prospects with fire in their eyes. Draft night suckers and hoop dream high. Wire to wire, bring the heat. Podcast magic can't be beat. Do better, we're more better. We're hoop heads, trendsetters.
What's poppin', y'all? It is your boy, Gardi3, and welcome to the And One podcast. Of course, joining me, like every week, he is the greatest co-host of all time. He is Mo. How you doing, Mo?
Hey, what's going on, Brett? Welcome, chat. Let's get into it.
No, absolutely. So, of course, you know how it is. You know how you got to start. Underrated player of the week. Of course, we always start out picking a player who we think is underrated, who is being overlooked and underappreciated. So, Mo, why don't you get us kicked off? Who's your underrated player of the week this week?
This one's going to be a little bit different, but fun for me. My underrated player of the week is a guy who he really peaked and had his biggest moments in college, but he went on this incredible run in the midst of a tragedy, leading his team in a deep run into the NCAA tournament. I'm talking about Bo Kimble. Anybody ever remember the famous Loyola Marymount, the run they went on, obviously after the tragedy of Hank Gathers, who collapsed and eventually died? Bo Kimble was amazing during that run. The scoring output, the leadership, like it was so exciting to watch Loyola Marymount play. They were must-see during that tournament. And that year, I don't know if you know this, Brett, that college basketball actually had a one-on-one tournament. And Bo Kimble ended up winning that one-on-one tournament. He beat Gary Payton in the finals to be the NCAA one-on-one champ. So a guy that had an amazing college career, an incredible run that will never be forgotten. Underrated player to me is Bo Kimble.
Hey, you know what? I love it. That's a great one. I went with a vet on the Spurs, actually. Obviously, all the talks around Fox, Wemby, Harper. But, Mo, how about Harrison Barnes this year? He's been lighting it up from three. He's got not very many isolation attempts, but he's been very efficient in isolation for them this year on his limited attempts. I got to admit, Harrison Barnes was somebody last year. If you would have asked me, I said, yeah, he's probably just done. He does not look good. But credit to him. He's really worked at it. He's come back, and he's provided the veteran presence and floor spacing that team needs. So I'm going to give a shout-out to Harrison Barnes for my underrated player.
I like that call out. Harrison Barnes has been a solid player throughout most of his career. I thought he was a little bit off not as efficient in past seasons last year, but he stepped it up this year. I think he's shooting a career high in threes from 3-point percentage. And look, he shows you the value of a vet in the locker room and on the floor with what he does with that young Spurs team. They'll need him even more now with Wemby being out for a few weeks. So, yeah, I love that shout out. Harrison Barnes, just a rock solid player. He fits in that same mode as a guy like Udonis Haslem, just the kind of glue guy who can give you on-court production, but it's invaluable in the locker room and on the bench.
Absolutely, Mo. And look, have a little fun doing this. I got something fun for us, Mo. I got the NBA stock market. We're opening it back up this week, Mo.
I love it. The stock market's back.
And I got 2 players for us this week, and it's really simple. Do you think that they're as bad as they started out the year? A change of scenery? Or do you think they pick it up later in the year? Mo, if first guy, Pods of the Golden State Warriors. He has been brutal to start the year, to put it nicely. Do you think that this is just a cold slump, or do you think maybe he got overhyped to start his career?
I think there'll be a leveling off. I do think that he's not shot the ball well, and this is actually a continuation of how he shot the basketball in the postseason last year. And maybe what it is what we saw earlier in his career, that first year, that year where he shot a high percentage from 3 was more of a mirage. And maybe he's a guy that needs to work the mid-range more and get more in attack mode and get to the basket more. I think Pods is still a really good basketball player, but I think it's clear he's not a pure shooter. He's a streak shooter at best. And if that's your lot in your NBA life, that's not a crime. Dante DiVincenzo, a player you know very well, fits that same mode. He's a very streaky player. I've seen Dante DiVincenzo go 8 for 11 from 3. I've also seen him go 0 for 11 from 3. So there's a balancing act. What Pods has done well this season, though, he's been really good defensively, and he's been excellent as a third facilitator for that Warriors offense. So he's still finding ways to be effective, even though he's not shooting well.
So, like I said, I think his stock's at about as lowest as you're going to get it this year. Are you buying in that stock, or?
I am going to buy into that stock. I think he'll be better. I think when it's all said and done, he'll shoot better. He'll be more efficient. So I'm going to buy into the Pod stock.
Hey, fair enough. Honestly, I am too. I don't think he's as bad as he's played. So, but there is somebody who I don't know. I might not be sold on him. The other guy I got for you, Mo, Tyus Jones. He has been very rough. Now, I'll give him credit. He just had his best game as a Magic a couple nights ago. Do you think that's a turning point for him, or do you think that maybe it's time to start looking at someone like Jace Richardson? Buy or sell Tyus Jones stock?
I hope it's a turning point for him. But I feel like with Tyus Jones, along with his brother, some guys are just very, very good and effective in rotational roles. And they don't seem to find that same lane or that same effectiveness when they're starters or they get bigger minutes. So maybe what he needs is a shift in what grouping they put him with, and I think he'll get better. I will say this. Did I think he was going to be better with Orlando than he's ended up being? I did. I had high hopes. But if I were going to be honest, there's a few guys that on Orlando so far into the season that have been disappointments. One of them, obviously, is the guy that you and I talk about a lot, is Paolo Banchero. We thought Paolo would elevate into an MVP caliber player this season, and at least until this point, I know he's injured now, but even before he was injured, he was far from that. So no, I'll be honest. I'm going to sell on the Tyus Jones stock because I'm starting to think Orlando is just a place where point guards go to die.
Yeah, and honestly, that's a guy I'm selling on too. even if the shooting comes around it, he's just such a bad defender, and he's just not good enough to really threaten you with anything offensively.
Right.
He's good on a team that has more structure and more set plays where he can just be a part of the offense. But in a team like Orlando, where it's a lot of just isolation and go get a bucket, where there's not a lot of structure, it's not good. That's just not his game. So maybe Tyus can, hit free agency next year or get a trade midseason and bounce back a little bit. But in Orlando, nah, this has not been a good fit. And hey, why not see what you have in the rookie, Jace Richardson?
I agree. I think at some point Jace Richardson should get more playing time. And yeah, I think you nailed it. Tyus Jones is really good when he can run an offense in a more traditional way as a point guard. He's not an improvisation type of player. He's not an ISO player. He's not the guy that you go clear out and he breaks you down off the dribble. He is we say this about quarterbacks in the NFL. I think he's a system point guard. And Orlando plays more of a free-willing ISO style of basketball that doesn't fit his skill set. So, yes, I am selling on his stock.
Well, fair enough. We got some fun news from around the league. We got the Sacramento Kings have an unfortunate injury. Domantas Sabonis is out. So it feels like a weird thing with the Kings where it's like Sabonis is out, but you're just like, all right, well, I hope he gets well soon. But at the same time, you're like, how much did it really hurt their season? Because it's not like they're really going anywhere anyway. In fact, the injury to Sabonis might help them because this is a team that desperately needs blue chip prospects and really just tank and get a high pick at this point.
Look, I agree. And this is no shade against Domantas Sabonis. He's a terrific basketball player, and he's clearly their best player. But him being injured, and by the way, I hope he comes back healthy 100%, but they need draft capital, and they need their next franchise player, if you will. This is a team that when you look at the way the roster is constructed, there is no vision there. I don't know what they're doing. Like Dennis Schroeder, Russ, and look, Russ has played well. I think we both agreed, but they're kind of doing what the Clippers are doing. Schroeder's 32, 33. Russ is 36. DeMar's 35. Levine's 30. What's the plan?
Apparently
he said from light to, yeah, he said pawn the beam. I went from light the beam to blow out the candle, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, it's not good. Currently the Sacramento Kings have 47 points at halftime. The Memphis Grizzlies have 44 points just from Zach Edey, Santi Aldama, and Jock Landell alone. So not exactly a murder's row of bigs, and they've almost scored as many points as the Kings. So they'll be an interesting team. Obviously, we're going to see them. I pray that they're sellers at the deadline. That being said, Mo, apparently Anthony Davis is available. Do you want to take a guess which one of the teams are apparently in on him?
Don't say the Lakers. Don't say he's going back. No.
Oh, even better, Mo.
Better than that?
The Sacramento Kings.
Of course. Why not? We you know what I mean? We got Russ, DeMar, Levine. Throw AD in there. Well, why not? I get it. AD, what is AD? 32, but his body's more like he's 35, 36. Why not? Look, I will say this. Should they pull off that move, does that mean that the Mavs are trading AD for draft capital, or are they trading him for Sabonis, who's a younger, maybe a better fit? I mean, to me, the Mavs should be making moves that help and benefit the development of Cooper Flagg, right? You should be making those types of moves. So I don't need back an older player. I actually need back the draft capital. I don't really need, like, Sabonis isn't old, but he's got to be like 28 or 29, so he's not a kid. I look, Anthony Davis being up for grabs as far as being on the block for being traded isn't a shock to me. Like I said, once Nico was fired, that opened the floodgates for the new GM and the new regime to kind of mold the team the way they want to mold it. The smart move would be to make moves for the future to help Cooper Flag. I get that the Kings would be in on it. If I'm the Mavs, I have to assume that you can get a better return on moving Anthony Davis than what Sacramento's probably offering. Unless they're offering their picks, which, by the way, if you're Sacramento, you can't afford to offer your picks. You really can't, because and I know, Brett, no top free agent is going to Sacramento of their own free will. The only way they get better is through the draft.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, this year is a desperate year that they desperately need to tank. And I'm not even normally. I'm like, yeah, try to compete, be competitive, but no, this year Dallas just has to go all in on a tank because this is the last year in the next 5 years they actually have their first. And I'm not even kidding on that, by the way. 2027 picks going to Charlotte. 2028, guess who? The Oklahoma City has the right to swap the pick. 2029, Houston has their pick. Say 2030, the Spurs have their first. They don't have another first until 2031. So it's one of those things where, okay, let me rephrase that. They don't have their first. They're going to have late contenders first. But yeah, it's one of those things that if you're the Mavs, you just kind of have to go all in on tanking. There really isn't another option for you this year, because if you're a play-in team and you get the 15th pick this year, I don't know how you rebuild at that point, because rebuilding using pick 22 in the draft every year at a minimum is just brutal.
Yeah, so you bring up a great point. Because they don't have their picks, or at least they're not going to be able to get a lottery pick except for the pick they have now. And I know a lot of fans out there, including in the chat, probably hate the word tank, and I understand that. So let me rephrase that, because I think the Mavericks are bad enough that they can tank honestly. You know what I mean? Like they don't have to say we're tanking. They can just go out there and do what they've been doing, and they'll lose honestly. You feel me? They're just not a good team. And if you want to make that even better or improve your odds, you trade Anthony Davis, because he's not part of your future. Kyrie's 30, getting ready to be 34. You trade him too, if and when he tries to come back this season. I love Kyrie, but he's 34. Cooper Flag's 18. They got nothing in common, and they're going to be teammates at best for a season. You got to move off of that. You got to think about the future.
I know they aren't tanking. They aren't competitively not ready yet. Yeah.
I like that better. Competitively not better yet.
Hey, what's good, guys? Thank you for tuning in.
That's so much better.
I know Mark Cuban came out and said, yeah, we're not trading AD. And it's one of those things that I kind of translated it to, yeah, the trade offers you're sending us are suck, so we're holding on to them right now. Mark Cuban came out and said they're not moving him, but that just looked like the biggest smokescreen of all time. I just think that everybody's trying to lowball him. And he's just trying to tell everybody, hey, we're not taking your lowball offers. We'll keep him.
And guess what? You can keep him, but that would be a horrible mistake on Mark Cuban's part, because he'll be that much older. Then he'll be 33 with his injury history. Anthony Davis has been a terrific player, but I think you would agree with me on this. He's on the other side. If he was in his prime, you'd have to think that he's probably on the edge of being out of his prime, right? He's closer to Declineville now. If Anthony Davis was going to go somewhere and you said he can help us win a title, it would be in the role of a second or third option. You know what I mean? Probably a third option at this point. So I think Mark Cuban's trying to play a game of chicken with the other NBA GMs. The problem is all the other NBA GMs, you can openly see what's going on in Dallas. Of course we're going to lowball you. That would be crazy not to.
Yeah, but you know what? They could, Kyle, but I think the Lakers are hanging up the phone. Be like, huh? No.
No, we're not. We're not giving Luca back. But I'll tell you what, Kyle. I mean, because I think this is still a good deal for the Mavs. I'd be looking to trade LeBron for AD and a couple other guys.
I think a realistic time for the Anthony Davis trade. I don't think it happens anytime before like January. Here's the thing. Obviously, December 15th is the day that all the contracts from free agency are able to be traded away.
Right.
I do think it would be foolish to trade them before all of those at least get lifted because, well, obviously, once those restrictions are off, then you have more options. So LeBron can go back to Kyrie Fair.
Right. You can put the band back together. See, Kyle feels me. Exactly.
Hey, get Kevin Love on the cheap.
Yes. Why not? He's not doing anything in Utah.
Yeah, but it feels like that. I would wait if I were Cuban. I think it's the right call for now, but I think December 15th, you definitely start looking really hard around the league. You got to wait for those free agent restrictions to go up, but I do not expect Anthony Davis to be a Dallas Maverick by the end of the year.
I agree. And also, look, when you're moving a piece that big, you might need a third team because I think it's going to be one of those kind of moves or kind of deals where multiple bodies are going to get moved. So it's probably going to end up being, when it happens, a 3-team trade.
No, absolutely. And of course, Mo, who's everybody tanking for? Well, I'm here to talk about at least one of the prospects. That's right. We're bringing back puppy prospects because it is my King Charles Cavalier Peanut's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Peanut.
Oh, yeah. So I figure, he's passed out behind me. I can hear him snoring. But what better way to just kind of bring back puppy prospects than to celebrate Peanut's birthday? The guy I'm kind of taking a peek at, Darren Peterson. We're only 2 games in, granted, so I'll update all this. Take it with a grain of salt with the stats so far. But that being said, we're talking about a freshman from Kansas. Consensus right now, a lot of people have him going number 1, but no lower than number 2. Just a shooting guard, point guard combo, but I'd put him more as a point guard. 3-level scorer. He can score from anywhere. He can block shots from his position. He's a very good shot blocker. He's very active on the defensive end, but at the same time, he'll be too active. He can take some bad angles on screens, and he gets jumpy on the defensive end. So he'll be so eager to make a play that he'll fall for fakes. He relies on a lot of okay, so the first 2 cons to Nemo, they're a blessing and a curse, right? He actually is, at least at the high school level, and hasn't shown up quite yet at the collegiate level. But he's good at drawing fouls. That being said, sometimes he tries too hard at drawing fouls, and he'll get kind of left behind. And once again, with the first one, he can hit a lot of tough shots, but sometimes he gets over-reliant on tough shots. Peanut did party too much, you're right. He got a cupcake today. His biggest thing I'm kind of watching to see if he can figure it out is he can't really smoothly translate between facilitating scoring, right? He normally gets tunnel vision or he's looking to pass. And you see the flashes, right? You see the flash of him being able to do it. I know he can do it. You just got to see if he can put it together. So I'm looking forward to seeing this kid, though. If you want to know how good of a tough shot maker he's been to start the year, some people are giving him player comps of Kobe with less bounce. I'm going to go with Devin Booker. But, yeah, he's an insane talent, and he's off to a hot start from the year, as you can tell. 50% from 3, 60% from the field. Sheesh.
Let me ask you, as a combo guard, I don't watch as much college basketball as you do. So I love everything you put out there, 3-level scorer, his versatility, but I don't see the measurements. Is he a big combo guard or is he an average size guard?
So he's a 6'6" with a 6'10" wingspan.
That's a big combo guard.
So
That's what I'm looking for.
Oh yeah, he's got some good size on him. A good fit for him is quite frankly anybody with the number 1 pick. because he has shown the ability to play off the ball. So I thought him and Halliburton next year could be a lot of fun through the Pacers up there. Of course, just for fun, I had to throw the Thunder up there too, just to mess with everybody's head. Because obviously they can still get the number 1 pick this year if the Clippers keep sliding.
Well,
But,
that's going to continue.
And the intriguing one to me, though, Mo, because the report came out that LaMelo Ball's frustrated, which he did respond with the clown face emoji. So I don't know if there's truth to that or he's squashing it. Well, I guess we'll see as the year goes along. But Mo, if someone like LaMelo Ball's frustrated, and let's say the Hornets do get the number 1 overall pick, do you consider moving him and then just kind of running with Peterson? That could be an option.
So the problem with LaMelo Ball that I have is this isn't about his talent, Brett, or his versatility, because he's got all the things you would want if you're just going off of the metrics and talent. It's his mentality. I feel like he doesn't. I feel like he doesn't take basketball serious. I feel like he's like, you want your best players, or any of your players for that matter, to be competitors. He reminds me of guys that I used to compete against when I was in high school who were more talented than me, but I knew that I could own them because they didn't want to work as hard as I did. They didn't have any dog in them. They had talent, but they weren't dogs, and you could get after them. It's weird because I want to say you can't give up on LaMelo, who I think he's just turned 20, he's 23, still young and incredibly. You're talking about a guy who's 6'7", a legit 6'7", that even though he's a ball handler, if you brought in another guy to run the point or bring in another combo guy, the guy, young man you were just talking about, you could play them together because either or could play the 2 guard. I actually think LaMelo's more of a scorer than he is a facilitator anyway, but I think that's an interesting choice you put out there for the Hornets. Do you look and realize that LaMelo's been part of our franchise, I want to say 4 years now? And what have we done in the ways of winning since he's been part of our franchise? You haven't won anything. I think LaMelo Ball is incredibly talented, but I think he's one of those guys that he's an empty calorie guy. There's a lot of flash, there's a lot of talent, there's no substance.
Yeah, it's one of those things that there'd obviously be the trade-off when it comes to someone like Peterson and LaMelo. I think the biggest trade-off would be LaMelo's just farther along as a passer and just processing the entire floor. But man, I think those two would almost be, great to play together. But at the same time, if it comes out to be true, which, like I said, LaMelo came out and kind of squashed it, but we've seen players squash reports, and it turns out there was actually a lot, the report was true.
Right.
So if this does turn out to be true and you get this high pick, could be an option. And it could make for a really fun offseason, the LaMelo Ball sweepstakes.
I'm not even sure who's signing up for that sweepstake. Like I said, I think you can easily be enamored with the talent and think, man, if we get this guy here, I would like to be wrong. I would like that LaMelo Ball, if LaMelo Ball could be part of the NBA's future going forward and be one of the young stars going forward. My gut instinct is he's closer to being Zach LaVine than he is being SGA. Okay. Because I think Zach LaVine is the perfect measurement or comp for any guy like that. Not just him. You could say that about marketing and some other guys. Like on talent, I'm talking about on talent. Zach LaVine is a top 10 NBA talent. But in terms of how he applies his talent, how he plays the game of basketball, his mental, it's just beyond disappointing. You can't make someone be an alpha. You can't make someone be a leader. Zach LaVine, for all that talent, like he has that kind of talent that Vince Carter had, and we should have been talking about Vince the way we talk about Kobe and other guys, but we didn't, because Vince, there was something not there. It's the same thing that's not there with LaVine. I think it's the same thing that's not there with LaMelo. And I don't want to water down marketing, but I feel about marketing the way that I feel about Porzingis, that on a title contender, marketing's a third option. Same way Porzingis was. I just think some guys are just vastly overrated because of their talent. There might be a sweepstakes for LaMelo, but I think if there is, it'll be a sweepstakes with a bunch of bottom dwellers. So he's going to be leaving the Hornets to go to the Wizards or go to the Jazz or go die in Sacramento. I can keep going, but that's where he's going to go. Where he's not going to go, he's not going to San Antonio, not going to Denver, not going to the Lakers, not going to Houston. Now, I would not rule out the possibility of LaMelo Ball getting traded for or getting by Minnesota, because Minnesota desperately wants another dynamic wing player. I don't know if him and Ant would get along, because I think Ant is really serious and really focused on winning, and I don't know if that I don't know if their personalities would gel, because I think they're both on different timetables and their mental is completely off. Again, anybody that wants to tell me how talented LaMelo is, I'm here for it. I'm not even telling you that he can't still end up being an elite player. I'm just telling you that if I were a GM, I wouldn't sign up for that show.
I feel like some like contending teams or close to him would attempt to, the good old fashioned I can fix them. Hey, is shot selection bad? I can fix it. And it almost feels like it'll end up like a slightly like worse version of the Bucks trading for Dame, where it's like, all right, well, we have a guard, doesn't like to defend, but he can, get hot and be a microwave scorer for us. I think it can work is kind of my point, but at the same time, I just don't know how much I'd be realistically willing to give up. I'd be willing to give up some, picks. Obviously, have to make the salary match, maybe a couple of like two or three picks match the salaries.
I get that.
But at the same time, it's just so tough to gauge a value for LaMelo Ball because of the talent. But at this point, we know what the pitfalls are.
Right, and partner, that's my problem. He's a conundrum because of the talent. But here's where you really have to be careful when you're a GM. It's also about the dollars and cents. And if you bring in LaMelo Ball, and let's say he gives you a 23.7 or 8 assist season, shoots a decent percentage, he didn't help you win. But those numbers, when it comes time to get that money, LaMelo's not going to want to hear that, well, LaMelo, we were thinking about $25 million. LaMelo's going to say, well, me and my agent were thinking about $45, $50 million. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. When you're dealing with players, it's not just the numbers that they put up, it's the numbers that they expect from you because of their numbers. I value guys who can put up numbers, but I also value guys who impact winning. LaMelo's incredibly talented, but I don't think he impacts winning.
LeVar wants LaMelo on the Clippers. There we go.
I think the Clippers want LaMelo on the Clippers. Like they need some young guys. I'd sign up for that.
I was going to say Clippers probably don't want him. He's too young. You're like, what?
Point. That's a good point too. Right.
You're only like 23 years old now.
Right.
Can't be having that.
We're only looking for guys 30 and up.
So, Mo, I'm going to play a game called Which is Worse? Clippers still won't win anything. You're right.
Facts.
Which is worse? I've seen 2 trade proposals today. And both of them are downright bad. And I want to play a little game. Which trade proposal do you think it's worse?
Okay.
I think I know the answer, but the one I just saw recently is just too funny not to mention. We'll start with that one, Mo. So, former NBA player Theo Pinson goes, the Rockets should trade for Kyrie Irving. Now, on the surface, you're like, they need a point guard. It could work. Maybe use, Van Fleet's salary to get things rolling. Theo Pinson said, Yeah, you're gonna have to give up one of your pieces, say bye to either Ahmed Thompson or Alprin Sengun. And I'm like, who are you trying to trade for Kyrie? Like 33-year-old Kyrie coming off an Achilles tear? Like, so that is option number one. And I already see your displeasure for that one. It's terrible.
That's not terrible. That's stupid. That's so dumb. Look, I'm a Kyrie Irving fan. I believe you're a Kyrie Irving fan. Houston's not going to trade their franchise center and their wing, who's going to be one of the dominant wings going forward for the next 10 years, for a 34-year-old point guard coming off a serious knee injury, which will greatly affect how he plays basketball. One of Kyrie's superpowers is his quickness and ability to change directions. You don't think that surgery impacts that? And this isn't Kyrie having that surgery at 27 or 28. He is 33 years old, man, and he's closer to 34. Who'd you say this former NBA player is?
Theo Pinson. He played on the bench for quite a few teams.
There's a reason why Theo sat on the bench. You know what the hell he was talking about? Stupid. That's not a bad trade. That's just a dumbass trade.
Well, Mo, what if I told you this other trade might be worse? Say Zach Lowe said he proposed this trade idea, and it involves Lauri Markkanen. So Lauri Markkanen is going to Detroit in this one. And at first half, you're like, okay, I can see it. That could be interesting. And then you see the package. He suggests Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland, Tobias Harris, 4 first-round picks, and 4 pick swaps. So you're sending 2 young prospects, Tobias Harris, and 8 picks over to Utah for Lauri Markkanen, which to me is also just absurd.
And who came up with this dumbness?
Zach Lowe.
I think Zach Lowe's drinking. That don't make any sense. First of all, Lauri Markkanen, I know it seems like he's like 23 or 24. He's 28. He's been in the league like 8 or 9 years. He's been on 3 different teams. He's a good basketball player. But when you look at the numbers that he put, by the way, shout out to the Jazz because they've actually been surprisingly competitive this year. That's not primarily because of Markkanen. It's primarily because their young point guard, that kid is an absolute monster. But I digress. My point is, why would you pay a king's ransom for a player who made 1 All-Star team in his entire career? For a player who was a primary scorer for a team, has never led them out of the doldrums of being a bottom dweller. Lauri Markkanen is really good at being a big fish in a little pond. I don't get me wrong. Do I think he could help Cade out in Detroit? I do, as a sidekick, as a 2, maybe even a 3. And I can see giving up Jaden Ivey for him and maybe a couple of other bodies. But you said, did you say 4 number 1s?
Yep. And then 4 swaps.
Yeah, you get that when you're trading for Porzingis. You probably get not Porzingis, but when you're trading for Joker, when you're trading for Giannis, probably when you're trading for Luka, unless you're Nico, because you don't know what the hell he's doing. But not for Lauri Markkanen. You look, very good player. I'll simplify. Is Lauri Markkanen one of the 10 best players in basketball?
No.
The answer is no. He's not one of the 10 best players in basketball. Why in the hell would Detroit make a dumbass trade like that?
Yeah, it's so bizarre. And it's funny because I saw a 3rd trade, but it to me, I'm like, all right, that's just, it was like, I forgot who suggested this one. They're like, oh, well, they should trade, the Heat should trade Tyler Hero to build around Norman Powell. And then they suggested trading him to Milwaukee for Bobby Portis. And I immediately went, you should do that. I agree.
I know you'd be down for that trade. See, that's another good example. I like Norman Powell. He's a really good player, instant offense type of guy. correct me if I'm wrong, though. I believe Norman Powell's 30 or 31, and Tyler Hero's 25, maybe 26, and pretty much can do what Norman Powell does, and he's probably a full 6 or 7 years younger. Like, what is the logic in that? You don't build. Look, first of all, you don't build around Norman Powell. Okay, you like, respectfully, because I'm a Norman Powell fan, but you don't build around him the same way I'm a Malik Monk fan, but you don't build around Malik Monk. I'm sure Celtics fans love Peyton Pritchard, but they don't say dumb stuff like we need to build around Peyton Pritchard. You know what the guy is, and you know what they bring to the table. That is another. Do we have any trade suggestions that are realistic and make sense? Because so far you're killing me.
As of right now, nothing that I've seen. Nothing good that I've seen.
These trades, by the way, they're from real people, but anybody with common sense knows these are 2K trades. These are the kind of trades you try to get away with on 2K. And guess what? Now, because as time has passed, even the AI is going to be like, no way in hell. They're not doing that.
Oh, absolutely. It looks like we're going to get a 40 piece from Tyrese Maxey tonight. He's at 32 at the end of the third. But look at that, my Bucks are still up 4. Ryan Rollins and friends are, winning with the power of friendship. Apparently,
Power of friendship. I like that. Power of positive thinking, man. Look, I feel like this. While Giannis is out, this is the perfect example for some of the younger guys to get more playing time, get more acclimated to what they're doing. That way, by the time he comes back, I think they're more confident in themselves, because it's really easy to rely on a superstar, and you can find yourself kind of watching him. So I think in the bigger picture, these guys playing without him will only make the team better.
Say Presti cooked the league. You can't lose. You're right, and they could
100%.
They could have like 3 different lottery picks this year too.
100%. As good a GM as Howie Roseman is in the NFL, Sam Presti's better.
I'd say there's one guy in the Bucks that's frustrating me, not named Bobby Portis, and oh my gosh, watching Cole Anthony chuck up bad step back after bad step back every game, even with Giannis. They're like trying to run empty side pick and rolls, and it's like, well, give it to Giannis. He's 1-on-1 down low. He's like, nah, I'm stepping this back. I'm like, Cole, I'd almost rather watch Mark Sears. Please stop doing this. You can pass. I know you can, but he gets tunnel vision so badly, and it's so hard to watch when that starts happening.
Watching Cole Anthony play, Brett, I swear to you, I feel like I'm in a time machine and I'm watching Eddie House all over again.
No, that's fair, because he'll go through these stretches where he balances the scoring and shooting. It's like, oh, hey, look at that. This guy could be something.
Oh, everybody's like, you just. I got to interrupt you. So that's what people happen when the Pistons win a couple of games without their best player. They're like, they don't need Cade. They straight. No. They need Cade. Okay, they need Cade. Trust me. The same way when the Warriors win without Steph, it's not like they don't need Steph. They need Steph.
Hey, but he did shout out Dennis Jenkins, and I appreciate that. Dennis Jenkins has been terrific for them.
That's dope. And don't forget, the Spurs just won a couple of games without Wemby, but we're not going to say they're good. They don't need Wemby.
You can trade him to the Bucks. We'll give you a forward for him.
I was going to say you could trade him to the Lakers for probably everybody. Everybody.
Say, your Lakers made the news today. They decided to dismantle their scouting department and made a lot of real changes that I honestly didn't expect them to do. This felt really out of nowhere, honestly.
I actually think that this is a long time coming. I think when you look at the Lakers scouting department, it's easily one of the worst in all the NBA. And I feel like, you know what, I'm not going to go there because it'll seem like I'm punching down and taking pot shots. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to say that the scouting department, the Lakers have one of the worst in the NBA, and it shows. They should have been fired years ago. They're just not good. We might be the only team in the NBA that every time we go out and we scout European players, we always bring back the worst ones.
Say, I'm not even sure where the Lakers scouting department is like half the time, because like the players that they come back with are mind-boggling. And the funny part is when they finally seemingly nailed one with Dalton Connect, and then it's like, oh yeah, we're going to trade you for Mark Williams, and then they destroy his confidence. So now he's just like a broken player.
They completely ruined this kid, and I feel like this kid is now in basketball purgatory. And what he really needs them to trade him and let him stay traded. He needs a fresh start. They've ruined him. Oh, but somebody in the chat, can you guys trade
the Kings?
He said, "Can you guys trade for Zach LaVine? Is that your Bucks? You got your Bucks? I mean, look, is Zach LaVine talented? Could he help the Bucks? Yeah, I mean, he is talented. I've never said Zach LaVine wasn't talented. I've always said though, there's just something missing.
Yeah, I honestly, the challenge with Zach LaVine isn't necessarily about the talent, because if he was making a decent amount, I would take a chance on him. But when he has the contract that he has, I'm like, I don't want to invest that much of the cap into Zach LaVine. For me, it's really the price point that makes me hesitant.
But but here's the crazy part. Think about all the things you want from a wing player in this NBA. Zach LaVine shoots the three ball at around 40%. He shoots inside the arc at about 47, 48%. He's like an 88% free throw shooter. Can take you off the dribble. He's got a bag. The guy he leaps in the air. He's still got incredible leaping ability and quick. Like, what's not to like about his skill set? There's nothing not to like about his skill set, and yet I would pump the brakes on bringing Zach LaVine to my team.
No, absolutely. And by the way, Mo, you know how I said that Maxey might go for 40? He just dropped 8 points in 2.5 minutes, so he's at 40 already.
So he might be pushing 50?
Yeah. It's a close game, and there's still like 10 minutes to go in the fourth. So,
who are they playing?
Bucks.
Oh, taking advantage of the Giannis absence. I got you.
Yeah. Say, hey, there you go. Why not just LaMelo for Zach LaVine? Obviously, picks would have to be involved, but
I can see LaMelo going to the Kings. I mean, it gets him closer to home. I'm sure ideally he would like to go to the Lakers or the Clippers, but I can see him going to the Kings. Although I will say this, if LaMelo goes to the Kings, does that change their fortunes? I'm just saying, because you're going to have to give me more than LaMelo on the Kings, because if it's just him and a bunch of dudes, you're just looking at the usual, another year in the lottery.
I at least think that'd give them a young piece to possibly at least try to build around, which is one more piece than they have right now.
Well, what they're going to do? They're going to sell their season ticket holders on LaMelo and Keegan Murray. Woo!
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I was going to make a joke and say Keon Ellis, but they refused to remove him from the bench. Got to develop the youngsters like Russell Westbrook. Why play the actual young guy on the team?
No, you know what? All jokes aside, I think a fresh start from LaMelo would be great, and I think he would be great for the Kings and their fan base. So, whatever they could get back in return, though, if I'm the Hornets, I don't know if I want LaVine or DeRozan. I prefer your picks and some expiring contracts more than I would those dudes.
Yeah, and by the way, another guy we have been purchasing stock in for a couple of years now is I think he's breaking out this year. How about Onyeka Okongwu on the Hawks?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. I love it.
I think the most shocking thing for him, like I thought he could be obviously a really good defender, role man. Where did this 3-point jump come from? Like tonight, he's 3 of 5 from 3. The Hawks have just come back from 19 against the Spurs, and now it's a 1-point game. Like him and Jalen Johnson are going crazy, and That's the part that's throwing me off about Oneka. I'm like, okay, the defense, I get it. Finishing around the rim, I get it. Where did the shooting come from? Shout out to Oneka for just apparently spending hours and hours and hours in the gym to nail that out of the offseason.
I'm so impressed with this kid getting in the lab and extending his range, realizing that I need to be more than just a guy that can rim run and bully ball you in the post. Like, he stepped out, man, and I'm blown away by how well he shoots the three ball. And now I'm looking at him and Jalen Johnson. I'm going, that's a hell of a 4-5 combo, man. Because you and I both know we knew Jalen Johnson was an explosive scorer. I'm not gonna lie to you, Brett. I'm so impressed with Jalen Johnson's playmaking. He's become an elite playmaker. Like, and I didn't know he had that in his bag. Every time I see him now, you and I picking him to have this breakout year, it's aging so well.
Yeah, we all you could be right.
Khan is balling. Khan is balling. He's actually the best thing on that team. Love that guy.
Here's the thing about I don't know if I'd go this far, but here's the thing that catches me off guard about Con Knuppel. Obviously, everybody knows he could shoot. He had good size. I think a lot of people didn't realize how good he was with the ball in his hands. Like, you watch him the last game, he can just decelerate. He's got, like you just mentioned, beautiful footwork.
Facts.
Like, he was gnashing through the paint, and he's doing a lot of different things. Like, when he faced my Bucks, he's taking guys off the dribble and finishing through contact. He can just do so many things that I don't think a lot of people predicted that he could do. I remember when he got drafted that there were quite a few people going, really? Con Knuppel? And granted, I was one of those guys that said, I think this is a great pick for Charlotte. Give it a chance. But he's even blown me away because now he's starting to expand his game at a pretty ridiculous rate, honestly.
He's blown me away from this standpoint too, Brett. He doesn't take games off. This dude, every time he competes, Brett, he's competing like he's in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, like a relentless competitor. Like, he's got dog in him times 10. And I'm with you. I'll be honest. I knew he could be, but I did not know he had a bag like that off the dribble, Brett. I didn't know he could take you off the dribble like that. Like, I'm so impressed with this guy. Con Knuppel has been balling.
Yeah, and another shot I want to give, by the way, from Atlanta, especially these last 3 games. Trae Young's out. You wonder where they're going to get offense from. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, somebody who a lot of people were saying was overpaid in the offseason. 26 2 games ago, 24 the last game, and he's up to 26 again on 9 of 13 shooting against the Spurs right now. That was another really good call by the Hawks. So I got to give them all the credit in the world, too. Atlanta, they're just making the right moves, it feels like. They could very well be something, special if they just keep building up like they are. Like, they could be a real threat in the East if you let this marinate for maybe another year or so.
I am not saying this to denigrate Trae Young because, I've told people 1,000 times, while I'm not his biggest fan, I do recognize how special a talent he is. But I think that he's the kind of special talent that at this point, I think it's fine if Atlanta parts ways with him because they can bring in assets that you can put with Jalen Johnson, that you can put with a Kongwu, with Ricochet, with what they have now. They have a core, and I like what they have. I think Trae Young can go to a number of places and still be a star, still be an impactful player. I think this is one of those, if it should happen, it could be one of those parting of the ways that benefits both player and franchise.
Now, my one friend, shout out to Reverse Enigma, with this idea. He actually came up with an idea like this, and he was having a little fun with this. He said, what if every team that just parted with their point guard who they're having problems with? So a 3-team swap involving LaMelo, Trae, and John Moran. Why not?
Okay.
Let's just shift all, I guess we'll call them the problem childs, onto different teams and see how it goes.
So in that case, Ja would go to Atlanta,
Yeah,
and Trey would go to
Charlotte, then LaMelo
go to the
to
Grizzlies. You know what? As a fan, I'm kind of here for it. I want to see it.
Hawks are better without him.
Again, we're talking about an all NBA point guard who can drop 20 and give you 11 dimes. As an offensive talent, he has not been a disappointment. Now, sometimes he can be a little inefficient. I just think that with Jalen Johnson and the surrounding cast they have right now, they play differently because everybody else gets more involved. That's all I'm saying. Like, if Trae Young was there right now, I don't think we'd see Okongwu get the opportunity that he's getting to shoot the three ball. I like, as good as Trae is at setting guys up, he's also a very ball dominant player. And without Trae Young, the ball moves a lot more.
And here's the thing, right? The challenge with this idea of moving on from Trae Young, and here's where it starts to get a little shaky, right? That means you're buying into the health of Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson has missed significant time for like the last 2 seasons. He's on a good run now, and me and Mo have said we're big fans and we think he could be an all-star caliber player. But at the same time, as much as I believe in him, that's also you buying into the idea that, he's giving you 60, 65 games, and that's been a challenge for him at times. So I know that Trade's going to be up for an extension. We'll see if they can find middle ground, because I'm sure he'll want a max. I don't know if the Hawks will agree, but it almost feels like right now it'd be a safe bet to keep him, because let's just make sure that, these Jalen Johnson injury concerns are behind us before, moving on from Trae. Because they don't really have any viable ball handling or playmaking outside of those two. You're not putting the ball in the hands of Dyson Daniels. Like,
no,
Nickel Alexander Walker could give you a little something.
A little bit. That's not his strength. He's more of a finisher than he's more of a scorer than a playmaker. But I hear where you're coming from. I guess my only pushback would be is that, look, you can't guarantee anybody's health. I mean, we are having a conversation about Trae Young while he's currently out for health reasons. That's going to be on the table for anybody. Look, everybody's got this big vision of Wemby being the face of the league for the next 15 years. I hope they're right. I'm a Wemby fan. But what we can't predict is he going to be healthy or not? Wemby might live up to our expectations in terms of his talent when he plays, but he could turn out to be one of those what-if guys that plays 45 games a year. Like, there's no way you could know. So I feel if you're going to pull the trigger on a Trae Young, pull the trigger. The health thing is going to be there all the time. It's like I said, Wemby's got issues. People are wondering about his health. There's a lot of young stars out there for whatever reason that struggle with health. Jalen Johnson may be one of those, or maybe he's on the other side of it. I don't know, but I wouldn't let that make me push the pause button if I thought that I could get assets back that could help the Hawks right now. Like, you're not going to get star for star if you trade Trae Young, right? I mean, I know that proposition about the 3 stars being traded, that's not going to happen. But if you trade Trae Young, could you get back pieces that could make the Hawks that much better? And they're younger than him. Absolutely. Why not?
I think the biggest thing, though, that makes me think a Trae Young trade might happen if they can't come to a contract extension is you might be able to get a secondary playmaker. And obviously what I mean by that is you do have the Pelicans pick in the draft this year, upcoming draft, and they are awful. So if they continue this run of just awful basketball, you could just very well end up like sleepwalking into a top 3 or a top 5 pick in the draft. So I think it's very possible. Like I said, the only thing I was concerned about, only reason with Jalen Johnson gave me more concern than most is this is a guy who's only played over 60 games once his career so far. So
that's fair. Look, that's fair.
But at the same time, I completely get your point, and this maybe if you're the Hawks, maybe you wait to see where the draft falls.
And I'm only putting it out there that way because look at Zion, right? Look at Zion. Pelicans still gonna hold on to him. If I had a guy that was that injury prone, I'm so far removed from the highlight dunks from when he played at Duke. You got to move off that dude. A guy that you and I have high hopes on for the Hawks, Trey Murphy, very much like Jalen Johnson, struggles staying healthy. It's just one of those kind of things. I'm looking at the Pelicans. I'm like, pretty much most of their roster struggles with health.
Yeah, hey, it'll be interesting too. They apparently another name that got mentioned was they were talking Trey Murphy, and it sounds like it might take like 3 firsts to get Trey Murphy out of New Orleans.
3? Wow. I mean, I think highly of him, but you just made a great point about Jalen Johnson that would apply to Trey Murphy as well. Like, he's an incredible talent, bro, but the guy's never played. I don't think Trey Murphy's ever played 65 games. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he never has. If he did, he must have did it in his first year.
It's one of those things where I think the Desmond Bane trade really threw off the value of a lot of these guys. But I think what a lot of people fail to realize with the Desmond Bane trade, for example, is, well, I know you guys agree, but yeah, one of the things with the Desmond Bane trade is a lot of people don't realize that, guess what? It wasn't 4 picks for Desmond Bane. It was like 2 for Desmond Bane, 1 to get off the contract of Cole Anthony,
right?
1 to get off the contract of Contavious Caldwell-Pope.
Right.
So I think the value for Desmond Bane was actually probably closer to 2 firsts than 4, but it's flashier headlines if you just say 4 firsts. So
right.
I think that people are looking at that though and just kind of overinflating some of these guys. I think that's kind of what's going on.
They have to be like you said. They want 3 number 1s for Trey Murphy, and I like Trey Murphy, but that is a lot. I'm not gonna get over the Utah one. I can't even remember all of it except that there were 4 number 1s, pick swaps, and they wanted players like for marketing, as if when we say, Mo, give me the best players in the NBA, I'm going to say Joker, Giannis, marketing, Luke. No, marketing's not in that conversation. He's a good basketball player, a very good basketball player. He's not one of those guys. If you're not one of the 10 best players in basketball, nobody should be offering up 3, 4 number 1 picks for you. You're not that guy. And look, I hate to sound like a hater. I'm not being a hater, but I'm being honest. He's 28 years old. He's never going to be that guy.
Yeah, I completely agree. To me, that it was just an absurd trade from the jump.
Was that the Zach Lowe one, or was that other crazy one?
That was the Zach Lowe one. It was 4 firsts, 4 pick swaps, along with Jay Ivey, Ron Holland, and Tobias Harris.
I have to believe that somewhere we'll find out down the road that Zach Lowe's actually related to marketing. maybe through marriage or something. You don't know what the hell he's talking about.
I say also, it's somebody I want to shout out tonight who's playing well. Of course, got to shout out my guy Ryan Rollins. Big reason the Bucks are in this game right now. He's going for 24 and 12 right now.
It gets fun to watch. Somebody said something crazy. I thought it was crazy. But you're more balanced than I am on some of these things. They were saying if they had a choice, the Knicks would trade, if they could, they would trade Jalen Brunson for Donovan Mitchell. And I said, no, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't. I'm a fan of both players. And you can give me everything that makes Donovan Mitchell special, which we can start with the quickness, the athleticism, the explosiveness, all that. And Jalen Brunson is still a better basketball player. The beauty of Jalen Brunson is there's a mental toughness there in clutch moments that I haven't always seen from Donovan Mitchell, but I've seen it from Jalen Brunson. He's not the athlete that Mitchell is, obviously, but that doesn't determine who the better player is. Jalen Brunson is the better basketball player.
I think, what's funny? I think the big reason why you don't make that trade, to start off really is contracts. Like Jalen Brunson took a massive discount. He's like arguably on the best deal in the NBA right now for a reason.
He did give him a hometown discount. Facts.
So you don't give away that, right? Donovan Mitchell is talented, and I fully believe in him. I think Donovan Mitchell can be the best offensive player on a championship team. Keyword on offensive. I don't think he'd be the best player, but I do think he's talented enough offensively to be that guy. But
I like the way you said that, because wouldn't that apply to Brunson too?
Yeah, they're in the same boat in that regard to me.
Yeah.
It just feels like that when it comes to D. Mitch or Brunson, they just go about their games in such a different way that, you can just kind of pick and choose, right? Brunson's a bit more cerebral inside the arc, but he can shoot outside of it, honestly. But he does like to try to get a lot of, free throws, where D. Mitch will settle for a lot, more difficult shot diet at times. So I don't think you can go wrong either way, but I don't think the Knicks would trade Brunson even if the Cavs came over and went, hey, we'll give you Donovan Mitchell, even if it's just based on the contract alone. Even if you think that Mitchell is better than, Brunson, which I guess it depends. That seems to flip year to year. I don't think there's that big of a difference where you give up what is the best contract in the NBA, arguably, for him.
So yeah, look, we can always have that conversation, me, you, or anybody else, when somebody goes, so you're saying Jalen Brunson that much better than Donovan Mitchell. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if I had a choice between the two, because I agree you can't go wrong, but if I am making my choice, I'm going to take Brunson because I think he is a little bit more cerebral. And even though Mitchell is incredibly explosive, Brunson is, the thing about Brunson is, like, everybody's got a secret power. His superpower is he seeks out contact. He actually seeks out contact and plays better through contact, even though Mitchell is more of a freakish athlete. Whereas Mitchell, as talented as he is, and I love him, he will sometimes settle and let the defense off the hook and take these deep contested threes when, with his speed and athleticism, if I'm getting downhill, I'm living in the paint. I don't think you can go wrong, but I do think one just plays a more mental and cerebral game, and I favor him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things when it comes to those two. It's like, well, one made the All NBA team first team last year, and Donovan Mitchell, but the year before it was Brunson, and those conversations. So, yeah. No, I don't agree with the idea that you're just flipping them without a second thought. So,
yeah, no, they're both terrific players, and look, I'm sure you would want either one of your team. I'm certainly would want either one of my team. I wish I had that luxury to be able to go, well, I'll probably just take Mitch. I'll just take Mitch. You know what I mean? I'm not greedy. I'll just take D Mitch. But it's, man, maybe, you know what? I'm sure Rob would be down. Then again, knowing Rob Pelinka, if the Cavaliers came calling, he'd be like, nah, I can't give up Austin Reeves for D Mitch. And look, and I'm a Laker fan through and through, guys. So hear me out. I am really high on Austin Reeves, but I'm also honest. Austin Reeves is not Donovan Mitchell's equal. Let's not get crazy.
The funny part is, I want to say, I don't think the Lakers would do that, but then I remember I watched them actively not trade for guys like Kyle Lowry because they didn't want to part with Horton Tucker. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? They actually just might do that. Never mind. They might not be smarter than that.
Yeah, Rob has made some wild decisions, so yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Say, you know what? I'll give Horst some credit. He cooked this year. I do like the team that we have. But we might need to move on from a few pieces. I'm guessing Bobby Porter's trade might end up happening at some point, but
I'm impressed with how competitive the Bucks have been, and I don't even think you guys have played your best basketball yet. So I do think you're going to be in the thick of things in the playoffs. I'm impressed. How can I not be impressed with how well the Raptors are playing? Because it's funny, because last year I picked them to have a breakout season because of the different players, and I thought that they would find a balance. They all stayed injured last year, but this year give Toronto credit. I think they have one of the top 6 or 7 offenses in basketball. They're competing harder on defense. Look, I think what they're doing could be sustainable. I'm gonna say I'm pleasantly surprised as a basketball fan that they're playing that well. Again, I love that. Brett, you have to be pleasantly surprised with how well the Phoenix Suns are playing. I'm blown away. Blown away. Phoenix has I think they're the top 3 offense, and they have a middle of the road defense, which is a vast improvement because last year I think they were either last or next to last. They couldn't stop anybody, not a nosebleed, not nothing. They are competing on both ends of the floor, and when you can get a win on a night when Devin Booker drops 19, that's impressive. That's team basketball. When you can tell me that Dylan Brooks, who I'm not a huge fan of, has been not just good on defense, but he's been efficient as a shooter on offense, blown away again. Grayson Allen having a career year. They are hooping, man. Like they've had a culture change, a much needed culture change, and I give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Ooh, Miles Turner hits a 3 off a maxi turnover. Bucks up 2 with 14 seconds to go.
That's a big play. Whoa.
Sick.
Okay.
The power of friendship just might prevail. I don't know what to call.
I love that line.
I just don't know what to call this team. Like, we're just running on hopes and prayers while Giannis is out.
You know what? What was it? What was the squad back in the day for Golden State? It was the We Believe Warriors. Maybe you can be the We Believe Bucks.
Yeah. Say, you know what's funny about the standings as they're shaping out this early, Mo? It feels like the West is kind of right where it's going to be come playoff time. I think the only change you're going to see is the 10th seed. I don't think Utah stays in the play-in picture all year, mainly because I don't think Danny Ainge wants to stay in the play-in picture all year.
Right.
But, like, if I told you that the Pelicans, Kings, Mavericks, Grizzlies, and Clippers miss the playoffs, like, would you be shocked?
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
Say when it comes to the East, I think obviously there's still some shakeups to happen, and I think the East it feels like the East is just a fun division to watch this year. Obviously the Bucks right now are on the outside looking in at 8-7, but I would imagine they're going to move into the playoff picture. Orlando's on the outside looking in.
Right.
I'm excited to see how both conferences play out, but yeah, to me, I look at the West, and it just feels right.
Right. So don't get me wrong. Look, we're both basketball junkies, but I think the West, barring major injuries, they're pretty much set. Like the usual suspects are going to be there. I think the East is more compelling because I'm not certain. Like even the teams at the top of the East, look who's at the top of the East right now. Detroit, the Raptors. Is that going to hold up? Are we gonna say 45, 50 games into the season, Detroit and the Raptors are 1-2 in the East? That's kind of impressive, but that makes it's also very compelling because I'm like, wow, the Raptors, because what they're doing now, I that's my only question. Like, is that sustainable? Is Toronto going to be there another 25, 30 games from now? Like they could be. And I think it's good for the league when they're good. I think it is. Detroit's doing it because they play high-level defense. And look, Cade is the guy, but Jalen Duren has had a huge leap in his development on both ends of the floor. I didn't know Jalen Duren was that good a ball handler. Like, this guy is leading the breaks at times and playmaking, like, and he's hitting jump shots. Like, Jalen Duren's development, that's a big reason why Detroit's as good as they are.
Jalen Duren's development. It's funny. At first, it felt like it's just how they were guarding Cade because they started picking him up at half and gave Duren a lot of runway to work with. But now Cade's going off the court and he can legitimately carry them for stretches. Like, yeah. I don't know. He's like randomly taken like Alonzo Moore and Amari Stoudemire leap where all of a sudden he can put the ball on the floor, dunk it, hit a midi, like. Genuinely, it's been such a fantastic watch. I love watching the Pistons.
It has been. I didn't, like I said, I'm so impressed with him. I'm a fan. I didn't know I believed he was gonna have a good year. I did not know he was gonna take this type of leap. So I'm very impressed. And I hope to continue. Like, that's the danger, though, right? So when you say they might trade for marketing, they're not going to if that price is really the price. But let's say they do. Chemistry is a real thing. Marketing is a huge piece. Bringing him into that team, yes, that gives you another 20-plus scorer per game, but you don't want his acquisition to stunt what Jalen Duren does. So you got to find a balance.
Saying as for the Raptors, look, we know the drill. Every year we have the same exact play-in slightly different order. So we got to get the Raptors back to the play-in to join the Bulls, the Hawks, and the Heat. It's the same thing every year.
It's funny, but you're right. It's the same suspects. You're right.
Real talk, I hope they do avoid the play-in and we get maybe a little bit more of a variety, but the consistency of those four teams to be always the same teams in the play-in game is truly amazing.
That's a great point you bring up. You're right. It's that old movie, The Usual Suspects. That you're spitting facts now, partner. And look, I would like one of those teams to break out of that doldrums, break out of that cycle. Maybe it will be the Raptors. The Bulls got off to a fast start this season. Then they kind of came back to earth. They had a big win the other night. Look, they're fun to watch. And I keep telling people this Josh Giddey, this is not your OKC's Josh Giddey. That said, I don't think Josh Giddey, I think he can be one of your two best players. He can be one of your two primaries. He needs more. He needs another guy that's a consistent scorer. He's scoring more, but I don't think he's a natural scorer. I think Josh Giddey's default is to pass the basketball, to facilitate.
No, absolutely. But hey, that being said, Mo, that's all I had for us tonight. Anything you want to add before we get up on out of here?
It always goes fast when you and me talk hoops. So thank you, partner, for being the guy that you are, doing what you do. Thank you, chat. Appreciate you guys for joining us tonight. Make sure you guys come back next Thursday and spend some more time with us. Appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah, absolutely. You can catch us next Thursday on the And One podcast. I'll double check and make sure before I announce anything because for Meaty Boys, because I did put an offer next Saturday. Hopefully get off for Survivor Series, but I'll let y'all know. But I'm for sure off next Thursday, Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah,
it'll be a great day for everybody. So that being said, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you